Welcome to your source of comic book news and culture. Variant Edition, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick, and every week, Variant Edition brings you the best that comics has to offer. And this week, we are packed with reviews.
Some old, some new, and some of the three-dimensional persuasion. Yes, we're throwing in a few statue reviews this week, but what am I doing still yapping?
I don't know.
It's time for reviews.
Let's get to it. Hey everybody, as you all know, we used to do statues here, and we're bringing it back. And as all of you know, I'm a huge fan of The Walking Dead, so the first statue I'm going to give you is this really nice diorama-esque piece of Walking Dead right here. It's a nice statue brought to you by C.S. Moore Studio, sculpted by Claiborne Moore, hand-painted, didn't say who, but they did a pretty good job. Now granted, I'm kind of partial to Tony Moore-style Walking Dead art, and this is the, you know, the other guy. It's still good. It's still good. You have Rick in a really nice pose with a really good zombie in an equally good pose on the top of this rock, battling it out. And then, if you want to fork out some more money, you can get the companion piece to it, which is this nice little hippie piece zombie reaching up from the ground. It goes right there to add to the battle, the drama, the dynamics of this piece. It's pretty good. There's a few things here and there that I'm not too keen on. There's something like, I guess it's mainly the size of it. There's some sculpting, like, around the faces for the zombies, especially for Rick. Like, if you look at him, like, head-on, it's kind of weird. He's got kind of this, I don't know, it just doesn't really seem like Rick. And some of the paint on it is kind of alright. I mean, it's nice detailing, but then you have, like, the white stuff on the rocks. I guess that's moss. Something like that. Something that grows on rocks. Other than that, I'm not sure. I mean, overall, it's a pretty good piece. If you're like a diehard fan of The Walking Dead, there's not really that much merch out there, and this is a pretty decent statue. The only thing that really kind of gets me about this is the price. This piece is maybe like, I don't know, 8, 9 inches max in height, and I don't know, maybe about 6 inches wide with all the rocks. This thing is like $100, and the companion piece, this little guy right here, $40. $40 for that. That, I think, is kind of steep. So, I mean, if you're a hardcore fan, definitely check it out. If not, I mean, I hope they have some more Walking Dead stuff coming out, maybe based off of Tony Moore's art. But that's just me. Overall, it's a cool piece. It's nice to see that there's some Walking Dead stuff out there. And, yeah, just looking forward to see what else the studio is going to do. Because as we all know, I think we've done a couple reviews on some Claiborne Moore pieces. And they're really kind of like the more indie comic characters, like, you know, just Savage Dragon, all that stuff, like those statues, which is cool, other than getting, like, the billionth Wolverine statue that's out there. So, yeah, check it out if you're a fan. If not, wait for more statue reviews. Alright, everybody, we got issue 49 of The Walking Dead. Now, 49 doesn't sound like a big event, but in this issue, it definitely is. And seriously, when you open this up, it's just gonna smack you in the face. It's like, okay, last issue, you remember there was, like, the big war between the people working for the governor on being on his side, and everybody, our main characters, trapped in this prison, trying to defend it against this guy. All hell breaks loose, and everything just goes down the drain. This issue opens up to just that prison ruined, fences down, parts of it, you know, falling apart because it got hit by, like, rockets and crap, and there's nobody around, except for Michonne, going around, taking care of any roamers that are there.
And people that basically died off.
Yeah,
characters.
and just, you know,
if you've been reading,
yeah,
you would know exactly
there's a nice
who we're
touch
talking
of
about.
her, like, waiting for them to be like, okay, you're a zombie.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but it's kind of like she felt the need that, for their sake.
Well, just in
like,
general, it's what she would have done anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just, it really, like, hits home. It's like, wow, this really isn't the comic I've been reading for, like, these past couple years. It's completely changed. All bets are off.
Huge shock value, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, our two main characters that we're following now, Rick and his son, not in the prison, not with his wife, not with his new daughter, just them two, pretty much in the woods, trying to do basic survival while there's zombies around and probably other raiders and whatnot that would gladly kill them for whatever supplies they have.
Which I have to say has been an awesome reinvention of the comic. It kind of brings it back to its roots of that whole horror survival genre, you know?
just the, like, in the beginning it was more of like a wandering kind of thing, and then it eventually grew into like, oh, maintain the stronghold, and now they're back to square one.
And I think what was so great about the beginning was Rick was by himself, and he was slowly getting connections through more and more people, but the scary thing was he was basically alone, and now you're back into that point again, but it's even worse because it's like he found people and they were making progress and all that, and it's all gone. back, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and it is more extreme because in the beginning it's like you're alone, but you didn't do anything for that to.
And you didn't know what the hell was going on.
And now it's just like you're alone because you lost so much.
Yeah,
and that's really what all these characters are going for.
So much worse, just for that simple fact.
Yeah, and I mean, it just seems like he's really lost that Rick strive that we've seen in other issues. I mean, they come to this area where there's, abandoned houses, they check for roamers, and they pretty much, like, stay the night at this one place, and it doesn't seem like Rick has any intention of looking for Dale and Andrea in the RV, going to another place to find more or better shelter, or even looking for other people. It's just like...
It's almost like he's just given up, and his son is the only one that's like,
we gotta do this,
he's caring, he's like, we gotta find them, what do? We shouldn't stay here. It's almost like he's starting to realize and grow up in his own way, you know, through all the events. And
well, I mean, it's kind of weird because it's kind of showing, like, what a child in that world, that The Walking Dead makes, like, how a child grows up in that kind of environment.
You have to grow up so much. You're forced to grow up so much faster. So it's kind of realistic in that way, and it's really cool because it's like, and it's just a great psychological book. That's all it is, I have to say, Kirkman, on point with everybody's psychological, mental status and everything else. That's what's so great about the book. Even the fact of,
like, getting kids involved in that kind of writing. It's just like, oh, one of these characters that has all these mental F-ups?
Yeah.
It's gonna be this guy's son. Good stuff. But another thing I also did like about this issue, you got Rick, son, in the woods, and only 3 hands between them. That just... It makes things a lot worse.
This jerk laughed about it when he read it. I heard him.
I wasn't expecting it. There's like a nice scene where it's Rick and he's got like a can of food and he hands it to his son. He's like, "Can you open this?" I'm like, "Oh."
But that's kind of going back to like...
Because he's got his hand cut off.
That's kind of going back to what I was saying. Rick's starting to give up. He's relying on his son now. And it's a little simple thing. All he has to do... Think about it. I mean, like, if you really think about it, you could put it between your legs, use your one hand, It's like... he didn't need his son.
Next week on Variant Edition, we're going to have Eddie take a can opener to a can of beans and open it with
I'll do
one
it on
hand.
camera. You bet. Wait.
He's going to have it between his legs. He's going to straddle it.
That's
and
right.
just open it.
That's right. $20? You heard it here, folks.
Sure.
Oh, what a bastard.
All right, anyway, so that's our review for The Walking Dead 49. And if anything, issue 50 should... come to us soon and open up as fast as Eddie would open up a can with one hand. So, we'll see.
All right.
I think we were done like a couple seconds ago.
Okay, so we're starting a new little bit on Variant Edition here. It's called Without the Capes. Without the Capes is a new bit in which one of us will present a book to you that may be out or may be coming out, which is in the comic book format that has no superheroes, no powers, no zombies, no vampires. It's just a straight-up dramatic comic book, which sounds a little weird, but hey, it's a great way to get your girlfriend into reading comics. You hand her one of these and go, hey, take a look at this, there's no powers. And maybe, just maybe, she'll read it. Mine didn't, but hey, I'm still fighting with her on that anyway. Our first book is by Ouroboros Books. It's a small publisher by a wonderful guy by the name of Stephen Walters. I actually got this 3 years ago. I am a bad person, and I send out my apologies because I read it, I loaned it out to a friend, and I never got it back. But I got it back, I bought a new copy, and this is a great book. What this is Suburban Folklore. It's a story about 5 friends growing up, and it kind of deals with what they have to go through as individuals and how they end up becoming the well-rounded adults that they do become by the end of the book. Decisions that are made, choices that, maybe not with great power comes great responsibility, but still a great story. If you're getting to the point where you don't want to read a comic for powers as often as you used to, now would be a good time to pick up a book like Suburban Folklore, which can be found on their website, which is aurabooks.com, or, you can pick it out at a con, because Steve, he does a lot of cons, and you can get him to sign your book, and you can have a nice little chit-chat about what the book meant to him when he wrote it, because... it took him a couple years to write, and I think he really poured himself into it, and I hope he puts out more stuff.
As all you good viewers out there should know, Saturday, May 3rd, was Free Comic Book Day. So I got my free comics, which I think it's kind of fun to be like, oh, what kind of free comics did I get on Free Comic Book Day? Because most people are just like, they're garbage. They're not. This one. Bongo Comics Free for All. It's a Simpsons comic, which is a lot better than some of the recent episodes of The Simpsons. So if you're a diehard fan out there who's like, oh, it's so bad now, read the freaking comics. There's actually a really funny thing in the back where it's like Simpsons done in like a manga style, which it's just funny. If you don't like manga, they kind of make fun of it, but they do it with really good justice. Actually, really good art. So that was that. Then I got probably the most entertaining free comic book I got that day. An entertaining comic sampler. It was awesome. Any of you guys out there into the old school horror, mystery, noir stuff? This is just a sampling of all the reprints and reissues that they've done, because they have like nice big thick compilations. But great stories. Some dude becoming a werewolf, but he's not, because his friend conned him into thinking he was, because he was the werewolf. Ooh, it's great campy shit. Some guys in the woods. He sees Klans members beating a woman to death, and then he ends up in a... I'm not going to give away the endings, but it's just nice twists, nice and campy. I loved it. Hellboy, free comic book day. This is great for pretty much anybody who can read, because they're indie stories. Hellboy playing poker with ghosts, something comes out of him, Ape Sapien doing something. It's great stuff. That, and there's a really, really badass little, like, Matt Groening Futurama BPRD cast right there. Good stuff. And last but not least, this isn't a free comic book day comic, but it was like a free promo thing for Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Essentially, the comic is just Professor Brooms back in the 40s at the military base with Hellboy still as a boy, reading him a fairy tale before he goes to bed. And that fairy tale is Legend of the Golden Army, which is beautifully done. Amazing book. It's free. It's awesome. That movie's gonna rule on 10 levels. So that's what I got for free comic book day. If you guys missed out, you missed out on some good stuff. Don't ever pass up something that's free.
Okay, so the final arc of Grant Morrison's Batman run is finally here with Rest in Peace. I think it's issue 676. And I have to say, the story kind of started off, I was kind of a little shaky with Grant Morrison's storytelling of the last year and a half with Batman. And I think it's going to wrap up pretty well, because I'm starting to see things getting tied in all together. And especially with this whole new cult, like secret society called the Black Glove coming over, and basically their whole idea is to take down Batman and kill him once and for all, hence Rest in Peace. And overall, I wasn't, I was skeptical about this comic, but I think it's going to be phenomenal, because the last bit of the comic where they try to recruit the Joker, and it kind of goes back to the first issue of Grant Morrison's Batman, and when Joker got shot in the face, it kind of made him crazier, I guess, and it kind of ties into his new look of The Dark Knight, which is coming out. I guess he's gotten so crazy, he basically slit, the sides of his mouth, and he's doing it, I guess, in Arkham Asylum. They're giving him people to just kill and do that to. I don't know what they're doing, but the Black Glove is trying to recruit him, and I think that's a really cool, interesting new idea, twist to the story, and I think you should pick it up. It's going to be awesome.
All right, everybody, I got a review for you for the Goon number 24. As you know, they've been kind of going into this big story with bringing back, like, Labrazio as this embodied, like, epitome of evil kind of ghost character, and that's just panning out all over the place. And this issue, it kind of takes a different way, because now they're bringing in the Buzzard into the Goon story, and as you remember, the Buzzard was that old character who fed off dead bodies, didn't eat live flesh, so he ate zombies. Really cool character. Anyway, it's him in these woods talking to this ghost, and the ghost kind of gives him a briefing of his past, which is pretty much what the first half of this issue is just Buzzard sitting with this ghost, going over that, and Buzzard goes to Goon and says, there's something going down, we're going to need you, and that just ends. Like, okay, that was short. Then the rest of the issue is something completely different, done not by Eric Powell, done by the Something Brothers, sorry, just don't remember it, but it's just really has nothing to do with the main story. It's just taking the characters from the Goon. You got Goon, Frankie, Peaches Valentine, Spider, you got everybody in there. But it's just like, oh, take these characters, same situations, same locales, but let's have the Gateway of Hell open up next to Norton's Pub. And I really, really liked it because it was kind of like they were an animated TV show kind of character. Where it's like, you have your main core of characters, and you throw them in this situation. What's going to happen next week? Oh, the Goon will solve that. It was really nice and really cool. It really didn't go with the rest of the comic, like the first half, but it's nice to be like, oh, dead serious thing about to spill some plot out in the next issue, but I have this nice, funny strip to read when I'm done. So issue 24, mix of both worlds, drama, comedy, it's great.
Okay, so I come into the studio today, and Nick goes, oh, I'm doing a Kotobukiya Batman. And Eddie goes, oh, I get to do a Kotobukiya Joker. And they go like, oh, but you get to do a Bowen. And I'm like, oh, sweet, a Bowen? And they're like, yeah, you get to do DragonMan. And I go, DragonMan? The Fantastic Four character? The villain? The purple dinosaur guy with wings? Yay! So here we got Randy Bowen in the Shiflett Brothers DragonMan. What happened? I think Bowen had a seizure while he was sculpting this, because it's pretty rough. The paint job, let's not talk about the paint job yet. Let's focus on the sculpture itself here. Okay, the face is nice. All right, outside of the face, the muscles from a distance look very nice, but up close, this is a bad piece. And then right on the back here, I saw this as soon as I took it out of the box. I was like, oh my dear sweet lord. The back of the wings look like DragonMan has wing tumors all over the place. Just horrible. And this is where the paint job actually works, because you can actually tell the tumors are there much better than any other tumors I've ever seen on a statue. Like, this is a great tumor statue. And the muscles look really nice from far away, but like up close, they are just horrible. And if you have the chance to see this up close and personal, you're going to be able to see that they have battle damage on here, which is kind of cool and lame, because the rest of the sculpt doesn't really match it with the skin tone. What we have here is we go smooth, and then scales, and then smooth, which I get it. You're going for the whole, like, oh, it's a comic book image, let's make it into a sculpture. Fails miserably, though, because they do that because it takes less time to draw and like, sketch it out and colorize it in a comic, right? You have no excuse when it's a sculpture. You've got a bad sculpt on most of the body here, and you've got iffy coloring at best, and tumor wings. Unless you are a DragonMan completist, you don't need to buy this Bowen. But if you are a DragonMan completist, or you are one of the 5 members of DragonMan.com fanbase website, you should definitely pick this up. Other than that, I might pass on this Bowen. I don't usually say pass on a Bowen, but this is a Bowen you don't need.
So it's the final story of Last Son, which is, as you remember, it was kind of like them bringing Zod and those characters from Superman 2 the movie into Superman comics, which was really, really cool. And those first 2 issues of the story were great. Great work, great artwork, great characters, great everything. Designs for Zod and all his buddies, great stuff. This issue really went above and beyond, because in issue 2, it ends with, like, Luthor is teaming up with Superman, because who knows better on how to take down Kryptonians than Lex Luthor, the man himself? You gotta give him credit. So he's got his arsenal of, like, Red Sun beam guns and, like, kryptonite guns, and it's like, oh yeah, and I got Bizarro and all these other guys, you know, all those guys that want to beat you up, well, they're on my side to help me help you bring them down. And as we all know, you can't trust Lex, and stuff goes down. But it's really great to see him chew out the Man of Steel. I love that villain for everything of, like, I'm supposed to be the best, I was supposed to be all these things, and I'm not, because some freaking alien falls out of the sky and takes away my spotlight. And he just can't let that go, and he dreams Superman about how he doesn't teach people to help themselves, and they root for him to help them, and all this other great stuff. Way going off the topic of the story. But anyway, it goes on, and it's really great to see the character that Superman kind of adopts as his son. It's Zod's son, and they call him Chris Clark. I think that was like his adopted name, because, you know, you gotta keep it low-key. But anyway, it's nice to see how Superman affected him despite, you know, his father being Zod, this big badass guy, and how towards the end he uses what he learned from Superman and Lois Lane and use that to benefit everybody of Earth, which is great. And if anything, that's exactly what Superman wants to teach us. So great end to a great story. And one of the things I really liked about this, and especially in this issue, Adam Kubert's art. Really good stuff. You like nice detail, sceneries, destruction scenes, great stuff. And for this annual, there's also a nice little piece in the back. It's like kind of different Superman character bios with some really great art by Stefan Rowe, who we just posted an interview with on the site the other day. So you could check that out, but definitely check out the Action Comics Annual 11.
Secret Invasion number 2 of 8. If things hadn't gone so terribly wrong in the last issue of Secret Invasion, which I'm assuming everybody is reading, then let's just catch back up here, okay? There's a Skrull ship that crashed, and all these superheroes came out. And there's these other superheroes who went there to go check it out, all right? and no one's really sure who's a Skrull and who's not a Skrull on this side, and they're like, oh, the Skrull ship crashed, there's a good chance that they're all Skrulls. But what if, alright, just hear me out here, what if, just maybe, some of the Skrulls on that Skrull ship aren't Skrulls, but they're actually heroes that were there to replace the ones that were already humans that are now Skrulls over here. Did you follow that? I hope you did, because I have no other way to explain it. The other big thing that happens here is Ares, God of War, Madman, who's usually like, yeah, let's go break open some skulls and take names, and that's just how it's gonna be. And he's all like, we shouldn't be doing this, let's get back over there. To the cities, to our people. Something's gone terribly wrong, we should probably get back there. And everyone else is all like, no, let's fight this out. This is what we do, we're heroes, we fight things, here are some things, let's fight them, and that's just the way it's gonna go down. We find out that one of the Spider-Men was in fact a Skrull, and we find out that Hawkeye was in fact a Skrull after Ronan kicks his ass. And then, of course, there's a little standoff between Luke Cage, the impenetrable skin, unbreakable skin, and Wolverine with the unbreakable claws. Kind of funny, kind of humorous. It's the whole sword and spear type thing all over again. But the big thing that happens at the end of Secret Invasion, what comes to New York City but an army of Super Skrulls? Now, I know what you're saying, Mike, how do you know those are Super Skrulls? Well, that would be because I read New Avengers number 40, Secret Invasion, where they talk about building Super Skrulls. Look what we've done. We've managed to... Remember those guys who we captured back in Illuminati? Yeah, well, we reversed engineered genetically these guys, and we took them stuff, and we took human DNA and some inhuman DNA and some Kree DNA and some Mystic DNA, and we made ourselves some Super Skrulls. Way better than our initial Super Skrull, who was just the Fantastic Four, but now they have, like, different specialized powers, and they're awesome. They're going to go win us the war and take the planet. Alright, but how do we know this is going to work? Well, we don't know that's going to work, so what we're going to do is first we're going to send all these other clones out there to infiltrate everything that's going on and, you know, set everything up so that when we do come with the Super Skrulls, the world is a mess as it is. That's a great plan. How are we going to do it? Well, I'm the Queen, and I'm going to go down there as Spider-Woman and distract Nick Fury. What? Okay, so let's jump over to Mighty Avengers Secret Invasion number 12, where Nick Fury is, it's after the whole Secret War thing from years ago, and it turns out that Nick Fury did a Skrull. Go figure. Good for him, I guess. Weird? Maybe. Anyway, he finds out she's a Skrull, and he kills her. And then he kind of goes to Maria Hill, and he, like, breaks into the database, and she's all like, what are you doing in my apartment? And he's like, listen, things are going to happen, all right? They're probably after you right now. You should probably start using decoys and stuff so that you don't die. You know, that's basically his whole... That's all he tells her, and he leaves. And then he goes to talk to Spider-Woman, who is at that point the queen of the Skrull. So his ace in the hole, his double agent, who's now a triple agent, is actually working for the Skrull, so she's technically a quadruple agent. Very confusing, very well written. If you're not reading any of these Secret Invasion, now is a good time to go and pick up everything and probably every past Bendis work that was ever written that had to do anyhow with Bendis and his crazy plans, because he's been planning this for years, so there's got to be clues somewhere. Someone read everything and get back to me, because I'm building a flowchart and I'm a little stuck.
This piece of beautiful art you see before me right now is actually a goodie I got from the New York Comic Con. Let me start off by saying this Bowen Designs Goon statue is one of the nicest pieces we've seen from Bowen. In general, it is awesome, to quote Swisstack from way back when we first started doing statue reviews. Now, the awesome thing about this is, one, I got it at the con for, like, dirt cheap. They were selling it for $110. I think Kevin's like, dude, that's like cost. Awesome. I bought it for cost. That's great. Second great thing about it, Eric Powell was there, and he was nice enough to sign the base for me. So not only do I have an amazing Goon statue, I have an amazing Goon statue, which Eric Powell helped sculpt, and he signed it. Now, to go on about the awesomeness of this thing, you just really, really, really got to check out this entire piece. There's nothing distracting from it. There's, there's nothing really being blocked. It's just the Goon in a badass pose with a bloody wrench about to kick some ass. Zombie, human, or otherwise. Whatever. But all the detailing in this, especially the face, like, because the Goon he's got a messed up mug. He's got the teeth hanging out, scarred up on one side, don't see much of his eyes, but the detailing that they put into that, into the muscles, into the shirt, into the freaking pants, it's very, very, very well done. And especially the paint job. Like, most of the times, it's kind of hard to get a good color palette for just skin tones. And this they really got on point. Everything from, like, you know, his arms and the shadow and, like, the muscles and the tricep and the bicep and everything, to even, like, the back of his head where it's kind of, like, you know, dirtier and darker. Just a really, really good sculpt, an amazing paint job, and just an all-around really, really good piece. Now, granted, the base is kind of plain, but that kind of adds to it. Because it's just, you know, when you have the Goon, you don't really need much else. But one touch they did do to the base, besides the awesome signature by Eric Powell, is the little, like, blood splatter. As you can tell, the wrench is bloody, so the base is too. Blood drips. Gravity controls us all. And I really at a loss for words for this. It's a really, really great piece. It's a nice size. It's a nice, just solid chunk of resin. And everything about the Goon is just summed up right in this piece. The style of the look is just on point, pretty much, you know, to Eric Powell's cooperation with this piece. And it's just amazingly done. Such a good buy. If you're into the Goon, there's, you know, not much Goon stuff out there. And for Bowen to actually make a Goon statue, and I was talking to Alex about this, he's like, yeah, it's weird to see him do something outside of Marvel. Exactly. You have a great piece of a great character done by some amazing artists. Okay, that's it for another episode of Variant Edition.
DragonMan, you clumpy statue, you.
Yeah, it's pretty sloppy, but I still gotta say, I'm really stoked about the Goon statue I got. That, for the price, and the fact that it was signed by Eric Powell, good stuff.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Be sure to keep an eye out for the return of our Uncut Creator interviews. We've got plenty on standby, so expect us to start running them online about once a week.
Yep, and it's time to go, but remember, Classic Comics is still your friendly neighborhood comic shop, where we shoot every week. Check out ClassicComics.com for details on how you can save up to 20% on your comics every week.
And check out VariantEdition.com for links to all the different ways you can watch Variant Edition, including iTunes, YouTube, VO, Blip TV, and our very high-res versions from Views.
That's right, and remember, check out our forums. We're going to be using them a lot more starting very soon.
See you next time. This cold medicine is kicking my ass.
Cold medicine, oh, I got allergies. I'm glad I didn't eat your burnt lo mein. And I'd be
I
getting
like
sick.
Dayquil and allergies and stuff.
You use Dayquil?
I use that.
Hey everybody, I'm going to try to get this review done now, because everybody's getting kind of antsy. But anyway, I'm bringing you with... Aww.